In the autumn of 2022, archaeologists working in the shadow of ancient Thebes made a discovery that would send shockwaves through Egyptology. Hidden beneath centuries of flood debris, tucked away in the western wadis near the Valley of the Kings, lay a secret that had eluded explorers for over a century. What they found wasn't just any tomb, but the final resting place of a forgotten pharaoh, Thutmose II, a ruler whose legacy had been overshadowed by his powerful wife Hatshepsut and warrior son Thutmose III. This wasn't merely another noble burial. It was the first royal tomb discovered in the Valley of the Kings area since Howard Carter uncovered Tutankhamun's golden treasures in 1922. Today, we'll journey inside this remarkable find, explore the life of the enigmatic pharaoh who built it, and reveal how modern archaeology is rewriting ancient Egyptian history. This is the story of Thutmose II, the lost pharaoh found. For Dr. Judith Bunbury, a geoarchaeologist from the University of Cambridge, and Piers Litherland, director of the New Kingdom Research Foundation, October 2022 began like many other excavation seasons in Egypt's western desert.
We were actually looking for foundation deposits. These are ritual burials of objects that ancient Egyptians would place near tombs. We had found one deposit with a sacrifice calf, which seemed quite lavish, and was searching for its companion when we noticed something unusual.
What they found buried beneath 1.5 meters of rockfall wasn't another ritual deposit, but something far more significant, a staircase descending into darkness. The team was exploring an area in the western wadis, which lies between the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. This area was known primarily for the tombs of nobles and royal wives rather than pharaohs themselves. The staircase led to a corridor that had been badly damaged by repeated flooding over thousands of years. The team had to navigate collapsed ceilings and debris that had hardened to the consistency of concrete.
The conditions were extremely challenging. We were working down in darkness and dust, carefully scraping debris into buckets by the light of solar-charged LEDs. Finding anything of significance in these conditions requires immense patience and attention to detail.
What kept them going was the tantalizing evidence that this was no ordinary tomb. The wide staircase and large doorway suggested something more important than a noble's burial. But it would take months of painstaking work before they could confirm exactly what they had found. After months of careful excavation, the team made a breakthrough when they reached a chamber with evidence of royal decoration. Patches of ceiling painted blue with yellow stars representing the night sky. This was a common feature in royal tombs of the New Kingdom period. But the most definitive evidence came from the north wall of the chamber, where they found scenes from a religious text known as the Amduat, the book of what is in the underworld. The Amduat depicts the nightly journey of Ra, the sun god, through the 12 hours of the underworld before his rebirth at dawn. This text was reserved almost exclusively for royal tombs, confirming that this was indeed the burial place of a pharaoh.
The hours depicted are from hour 7, when Ra is faced with his serpent Apophis, the embodiment of chaos, to hour 12, the final hour, when Ra is reborn. These scenes were vital for the king's journey through the afterlife.
But which king had built this tomb? The chamber had been deliberately emptied just a few years after the initial burial, possibly because of the flooding problems, leaving few clues to the owner's identity. The answer came from tiny fragments of alabaster vessels shaped like ducks, containers that would have held cosmetics, perfumes, and ritual oils. These prestigious items were common in royal burials. On these fragments, the team found tantalizing partial inscriptions. One began, "Son of Re, of his body Thut," another read, "The perfect God, the Lord of the two lands, Akeper, Re." These suggested the tomb belonged to either Thutmose I or Thutmose II. The final piece of the puzzle came from another fragment found in a separate chamber, which read, "Great chief wife his beloved, Hatshepsut may she live. This crucial inscription indicated that the king was married to a still-living Hatshepsut, confirming that the tomb could only belong to Thutmose II. The confirmation sparked jubilation among the team, who celebrated with an impromptu party, dancing and singing at the site. After more than a century of searching, the last missing tomb of the 18th dynasty kings had finally been found. To understand the significance of this discovery, we need to know more about the enigmatic pharaoh who built it. Thutmose II has long been overshadowed by his more famous family members: his father Thutmose I, his wife Hatshepsut, and his son Thutmose III. Thutmose II was the fourth pharaoh of Egypt's 18th dynasty, the beginning of what Egyptologists call the New Kingdom period. He ruled during the first half of the 15th century BCE, approximately 3,500 years ago. He was the son of the powerful Pharaoh Thutmose I and a lesser wife named Mutnofret. To strengthen his claim to the throne, Thutmose II married his half-sister Hatshepsut, who was the daughter of Thutmose I and his principal wife. This type of marriage between half-siblings was common practice among Egyptian royalty. The length of Thutmose II's reign has been debated by historians for decades. Some argue he ruled for only 3 years, while others suggest a longer reign of 13 years.
The rediscovery of his tomb, which appears substantial in scale despite the damage, lends weight to the theory that Thutmose II reigned for closer to 13 years rather than just 3. A king who ruled for only 3 years would likely not have completed such an elaborate tomb.
Despite the now confirmed existence of his tomb, Thutmose II left relatively few monuments compared to other pharaohs of his dynasty. This scarcity has contributed to the perception that he was a weak ruler, possibly dominated by his powerful wife Hatshepsut. One of his few surviving monuments is a limestone gateway at Karnak Temple. Interestingly, the gateway was not completed during his lifetime, but was finished by his son, Thutmose III. Military records tell us that Thutmose II did conduct campaigns to suppress rebellions in Nubia, modern Sudan, and against Bedouin tribes in the Sinai Peninsula. However, these campaigns were led by his generals rather than by the king himself, possibly indicating his youth or poor health. The mummy believed to be Thutmose II was discovered in the royal cache at Deir el-Bahari in 1881, alongside other royal mummies that had been moved for protection in ancient times. Examination of this mummy revealed signs of skin disease and other health problems, suggesting he died relatively young, before the age of 30. However, with the discovery of his original tomb, some scholars now question whether this mummy was correctly identified, adding another layer of mystery to this enigmatic pharaoh. One of the most intriguing aspects of Thutmose II's tomb is its unfortunate location. The tomb was built directly beneath 2 seasonal waterfalls and at the bottom of a slope where water would naturally flow during Egypt's rainy season.
The climate in Egypt during the 18th dynasty was wetter than it is today. This location would have been particularly vulnerable to flash flooding, which we can see from the damage throughout the tomb. It raises fascinating questions about why such a poor site was chosen for a royal burial.
According to Mohammed Abdel-Badi, head of the Egyptian Antiquities sector, the tomb is situated in a poorly chosen place beneath 2 waterfalls and at the bottom of a slope down which water would have poured in the much wetter weather of the 18th dynasty. The flooding had catastrophic effects on the tomb's preservation. The plaster on the upper portions of walls had essentially melted and slumped down, while the lower parts were oddly protected by the pressure of sediment from previous floods. Evidence suggests that the ancient Egyptians recognized their mistake very quickly. Within just a few years of Thutmose II's burial, his body and most of his grave goods were removed from the tomb, likely to protect them from further damage. This early removal explains why the tomb was found virtually empty, apart from fragments of alabaster vessels and the remains of wall decorations. But where was the pharaoh reburied? The traditional view holds that his mummy was eventually placed in the royal cache at Deir el-Bahari, where it was discovered in 1881. However, this mummy bears a re-wrapping label that appears to have been modified, leading some scholars to question its identification. Could there be a second tomb of Thutmose II still waiting to be discovered? Some archaeologists believe this is possible, noting that the team has detected another unexcavated tomb nearby. No discussion of Thutmose II would be complete without addressing the extraordinary woman who was both his half-sister and his wife, Hatshepsut. After Thutmose II's death, she initially served as regent for his young son, Thutmose III, before declaring herself pharaoh and ruling in her own right. Hatshepsut went on to become one of Egypt's most successful rulers, reigning for about 21 years and overseeing a period of prosperity and ambitious building projects. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari remains one of the most impressive monuments of ancient Egypt. Approximately 20 years after Hatshepsut's death, her stepson Thutmose III ordered her name and image to be removed from monuments throughout Egypt, a process Egyptologists call damnatio memoriae, or condemnation of memory.
In many cases, Hatshepsut's name was replaced with that of Thutmose II, making him the principal celebrant in temples that were actually built by Hatshepsut. This erasure has complicated our understanding of both rulers and their accomplishments.
This historical revisionism has further obscured our understanding of Thutmose II. Many monuments once attributed to him were actually created by Hatshepsut and later relabeled with his name. The discovery of Thutmose II's tomb provides new perspective on this complex relationship. The alabaster vessel inscription, referring to Great Chief Wife His Beloved, Hatshepsut, may she live, suggests a more harmonious relationship than some historians have proposed. Thutmose II's tomb is located near tombs of royal wives, including the cliff tomb prepared for Hatshepsut when she was still a royal wife. This spatial relationship may reflect important aspects of their relationship that have been lost to history. The discovery of Thutmose II's tomb represents a watershed moment in Egyptology. The last missing tomb of the 18th dynasty kings and the first royal tomb discovery near the Valley of the Kings in over a century. Despite being damaged and empty of treasures, this tomb provides crucial information about royal burial practices during this formative period of the New Kingdom.
This discovery suggests that the Western Wadis area may hold other important royal burials. We're particularly interested in the possibility that this region might contain the original tombs of Thutmose I and Amenhotep III, which have never been definitively identified.
The team has already detected another unexcavated tomb nearby, which could potentially be a second tomb built for Thutmose, the second after the first one proved unsuitable. Meanwhile, researchers continue to analyze the fragments recovered from the tomb, including pieces of the Amduat scenes and the alabaster vessels. Advanced imaging techniques may reveal additional inscriptions too damaged to be seen with the naked eye. The use of digital reconstruction has allowed archaeologists to piece together what the tomb would have looked like in its original state, providing invaluable insights into royal tomb decoration during this period. Modern scientific analysis, including CT scans and DNA testing, may help resolve questions about whether the mummy identified as Thutmose II in the royal cache is indeed the king who built this tomb. The story of Thutmose II and his ill-fated tomb reminds us that even in the age of satellites and advanced technology, ancient Egypt still holds secrets waiting to be discovered. This forgotten pharaoh, long overshadowed by his more famous family members, has at last reclaimed his place in history. Though his reign may have been brief, his tomb, the first royal burial found since Tutankhamun's, ensures that the name of Thutmose II will now be remembered alongside the greatest discoveries in Egyptology. As excavations continue in the Western Wadis and surrounding areas, who knows what other treasures from Egypt's golden age still lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to complete our picture of one of humanity's greatest civilizations. The discovery of Thutmose II's tomb inevitably invites comparison with the last major royal tomb discovery, that of Tutankhamun in 1922. While both findings are historically significant, they represent very different archaeological circumstances. Tutankhamun's tomb was found largely intact, filled with thousands of precious objects that had escaped the attention of tomb robbers. In contrast, Thutmose II's tomb was deliberately emptied in antiquity and severely damaged by flooding.
Tutankhamun was a minor king who died young and left few monuments, but his intact tomb made him famous worldwide. Thutmose II ruled during a crucial period of Egyptian history, yet has remained relatively unknown. This discovery helps balance our understanding of Egyptian royal history.
Both discoveries also represent different eras in archaeology. Tutankhamun's tomb was excavated in the colonial period, with many artifacts leaving Egypt for museums abroad. The Thutmose II excavation represents modern collaborative archaeology, with Egyptian authorities working alongside international experts under Egyptian leadership. A century after Howard Carter's famous words, "Yes, wonderful things," the tombs of ancient Egypt continue to reveal their secrets, rewriting our understanding of one of the world's most fascinating civilizations.